Hi, this is Dave Robbs with the Poyeo Project. This is the first video that we're doing in terms of how to work with businesses to develop their business plan and to help them to discover some ways to success for their future. The first area that we're going to be talking about today is developing a effective organizational chart. Many people don't see necessarily advantage of having an organizational chart, but there are some things that will really help you if you'll take time to do this. The thing you have to remember is that the organizational chart you create today might not stay the same through the entire life of your company. In fact, you'll find that you'll be changing it over and over and over again. But to not have it is to like go on a road trip without a map if you're not sure where you're going. So there's some very distinct things that an organizational chart does for you, just to help you give yourself and your employees an overall picture of what your business is, what the different aspects of the business are, what the future is that you're looking at, and it helps you get it out of your head and onto paper, which really helps in terms of the development of your organization as it goes. You can go back and revisit this and say, wow, I should have done this, or I want to reorganize that. So organizational charts definitely have a purpose, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about the purposes of it, and at the same time step by step of how you would develop it. And so the first area is the purpose of an organizational chart. The org chart becomes a skeletal representation of what your business looks like. So it shows where different employees will be positioned that are either in your organization or will be in your organization in the future. It also helps them to see what that authority structure looks like. So who do they report to? Who does the person above them report to, et cetera, et cetera. It educates them as to their position and also opportunities in the future. One of the things that is very helpful in the life of an organization and maintaining employees is the fact that the employee doesn't think they're in a dead-end job. In other words, there's no opportunity for advancement, there's no opportunity to make more money, there's no opportunity for them to maybe utilize the giftings that they have. But if they can see an organizational chart, it helps them to realize that there is or could be a future with the company. It will inspire them to do maybe a better job because they're looking to fill a position that's above where they are right now. So there's a number of things like this that really can help and encourage an employee. One of the things that I talk to about businesses many times is the first person in an area that you hire shouldn't have the title of manager. But manager position should be kind of withheld to see who kind of rises to the top. So you might hire somebody that's an excellent salesperson, for instance, and they're very, very good at selling your product. They're very, very good with handling customers, et cetera, et cetera. And many times we fall into the trap of hiring them as a sales manager, when the reality is they're very good at sales, but they may not be good at managing. And so it looks really good on their business card. It says that, they're a manager. But if you don't have any other salespeople under them, then really all they're managing is themselves. So this doesn't have to determine where their pay is or whatever. But if you show them on the organizational chart, at some point in time down the road, we'll be having a sales manager. And we're hiring you as a salesperson right now, but you need to understand that this position as a manager could be available to you. These are the criteria we're looking for. These are the different areas that we'll be evaluating for someone to step into that role. So that opportunity is definitely there for you, but it's not a guarantee. I've known of situations where people have been given a title and they are actually not good necessarily at managing. So for instance, a salesperson could be the best salesperson that you have, but when you hire them in as a manager, you may discover as you hire more salespeople that they really can't manage people. They have a hard time managing your other salespeople, but now they have the title and the position. Well, the difficulty here is in the fact that if you were to demote them and put someone else in that position, the chances are you would lose them as an employee. They would feel slighted. They would be embarrassed, and so for them, that whole scenario would be counterproductive. So you would lose your best salesperson because you put them in a manager position when they really weren't a manager, if you understand what I'm saying. Another area that the org chart does is it demonstrates a plan. It would show people, whether it's an employee or someone else that you might be dealing with in business, that you've actually thought this through and you have a plan. You're not just running helter-skelter, trying to figure things out as you go. It's also a tool to help you to develop procedures, systems, and employee training. And it will also assist you in not doing everything. In the beginning, I understand you're the secretary, you're the janitor, you're the receptionist, you fill all the buckets. But as you move forward, you want somebody else's name to appear in that box and not yours. Along with this video, there will be a worksheet. There will be some examples of business plans and so forth and so on. So the different aspects of an organizational chart also is, one, every duty and responsibility should be captured in that organizational chart. If there's an area that is not captured, then your organizational chart is not complete. And no task is too small or insignificant. Every aspect and every task within your organization has a significance. Now, it may not be a huge significance, but it has a significance. So if that particular task is not done, if nobody's responsible for it, it may very well cause a certain area of your company to not run efficiently. It also demonstrates chain of command, so you know who's in charge of who, and as an employee many times that's not clear. Even in middle management positions, sometimes it's not clear as to who does somebody report to. And it also can be an indicator of employment strategy. So as you look at your organizational chart, you may make the determination, well, the first person that I want to hire, pardon me, the first person that I want to hire is a person to take care of this area, have this position, etc. So now when you're developing your processes, your systems, your training and all that, that's the area you want to focus on first. So you're not trying to do your whole company at once. That's almost an insurmountable task. But by isolating these particular areas, you can develop what you need in that area first, and then that gives you also a guide for in the future. As you add more and more people in different areas, you're going to develop the rest of your business. So how do you develop an organizational chart? Well, as I said, every task in your business should be captured somewhere on the organizational chart. Not written down necessarily, but understanding that this individual would be responsible for this aspect of your business. So the first thing you want to do is you want to list all the tasks in your business. And realizing again, no task is too small and no task is insignificant. So once you have this list made, and it may take some time, you can start it. You may want to come back to it as you're thinking about other things, but cleaning the office, inventorying your product, or inventorying your tools, etc., etc. All of these tasks are important. Answering the phone, paying the bills. All these type of things are individual tasks. Now, some of these you may subcontract out, but you still want to list them, because in the future you may want to pull that whole area of your business internal, like your bookkeeping. You may want to internalize that rather than hiring somebody outside to do that function. So you want to list everything. And once that list is completed, or as completed as you think at the time, now you want to group those tasks by similarities, not by personnel. And this can be very difficult, because a lot of times you'll look at maybe an employee that works for you, and they're doing this, and this, but those things can be separate and not all tied together into one area of your business. So this takes some real thought in putting this together. So you want to kind of departmentalize, if you will, these different tasks, and make sure that every task goes somewhere. So on your list, as you assign them somewhere, cross them off. And then you may have an employee that's actually fulfilling 2 or 3 different functions in your business currently, but eventually your business is going to grow to the place where each of those different areas will have a separate name. So for instance, in the beginning, your name is in every box. Well, you want to get away from that so that you're freed up to do what you're good at, and what it requires of you to run the business and cause the business to grow, etc., etc. So you will eventually be taking your name out of a box and putting somebody else's name in. So it could be the same thing. If you only have 2 or 3 employees, you may have one employee that appears in 2, 3, 4 boxes. There's nothing sacred about any of that, but you're going to replace their name with the name of a different individual as your business grows. So you want to within departments, you're going to want to as you develop these departments. Here's a rule of thumb. Now this isn't mandatory, but what you don't want to have is you don't want to have 15 departments all reporting to you. The rule of thumb is that to have no more than 5 people or 5 different responsibility areas reporting to a manager or reporting to the owner. So you want to segment your company, and you want to spread it deeper, not wider. So you're going to create departments and sub-departments and so forth down into each area. If you're looking to grow your business in a different geographical location, you're going to create a whole another aspect of that. So you're going to create another business, so to speak, in another area that it's going to report to you. Well, maybe as you grow, there may be 5 different locations. So what happens for you is you have a manager at each one of those locations, and those managers report to you. If you grow even larger, you may have one geographical area, say in a city, and you may have 5 locations in that city. So you would then create a manager over those 5 locations, with managers at each location reporting to that manager. I know it's getting a little complex here, but just so you kind of get an understanding of how that grows and develops. Once you've created your organizational chart, now you're ready to begin to start creating strategy for your business development, determining who is the next person you'll hire, what are their responsibilities, etc., etc. And so that is the function and the purpose of an organizational chart. Now, in a future lesson like this, we will actually go through and create that org chart. I've got a friend of mine that I'm going to be working with on his business. He's going to kind of be my example, so to speak, so that you get an idea of how to sit down with a business owner and go through this process and help them to create a successful organizational chart that they can use in the future. Again, the organizational chart is a tool. It's not something you want to create in paper, put it in a file somewhere, and never look at it again. You need to be pulling it out and looking at it and changing it, modifying it, doing whatever you need to do with it in order for you to create the strategies that you need to grow your business. I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I hope that this instruction is helpful for you. Again, there'll be items that will be packaged with this so that as you watch the video, you can actually go through and take a look at those things that I'm talking about. Thank you very much.